Hi everyone, it's me, Hegmo, and as we bid farewell to last month's very easy Yugudo Ambuscade, we welcome our new friends, the Gigas, for this month. After the cakewalk that was last month's fight, the Gigas fight might offer a slightly higher challenge, but ultimately it's just about as quick once you get the setup down. Let's take a look. The fight starts with 6 Gigas on the field, the Enceladus boss, 2 fistfighter monks, a martial warrior, a trainer beastmaster, and a swift shooter ranger. This fight can be a little bit scary on the pull depending on your setup, so be sure to buff up and throw up some defensive abilities if needed. The boss can do some scary stuff if it's left alive for too long. If he's allowed to skill chain any single target, he will magic burst with his Mercurial Strike, similar to a Rune Fencer's Lunge, for up to 99,999 damage. So the goal here in our setup is to zerg the boss down as quickly as possible before he does anything scary. Then take out the other targets one by one. For our setup, we're using a warrior, a corsair, a bard, a red mage, a dark, and a white mage. The warrior is popping job abilities and killing Gigas, starting with the Enceladus, the larger Gigas boss. This could likely be any semi-tanky DD, whatever you have that can output damage while surviving the initial zerg. Corsair is using Sam and Chaos rolls, and then assisting in the Zerg as well with Savage Blades or whatever heavy-hitting weapon skill you have access to. Bard is using Honor March, Aria of Passion, and 2 Minuets, and then assisting in the Zerg as well. Sleep does not seem to land, like in previous months. At least the Bard's Horde Lullaby does not seem to land. If you don't have access to Aria, you can use a Madrigal or a Min or whatever you feel you might need. And if you're not using a red mage in your party composition and you don't have that additional haste, you will likely want to use a Victory March to cap haste for the party instead. Our red mage here is applying haste 2 to the entire party, phalanx 2 to the entire party, and then assisting in the Zerg as well. Dia 3 on each enemy as you tag them is about all that's necessary. I don't think that there's too much of an accuracy issue requiring you to distract, and the targets die relatively quickly, so stacking up debuffs is a little bit less valuable to our group composition than just participating in the Zerg. But getting that Dia 3 on can be relatively crucial. Honestly, red mage is probably not super necessary in this group. You could easily swap it out for a different job and have the bard do double haste. However, phalanx is a very nice element considering the amount of damage output in the beginning of this fight. So if you do replace the red mage, I'd recommend bringing in a Geo or something that can bolster your defenses a little bit. Even a second Corsair could work with a Gallant's roll or something like that. Our Dark Knight is buffing up and zerging down targets as well. Again, this could be any DD to fill, or we did test a few rounds with a Geo in place of the Dark Knight. The kill speeds felt just about the same, with some added safety from Barrier. So there's a lot of flexibility in this position, a second or third, or anything that can bolster the party in some way or another. And then lastly, the white mage is keeping everyone alive, including itself. The beginning of this fight does have a lot of high damage coming in, so be ready with fast Kiragas to keep everybody up. There's also a lot of group aggro here, and likely the white mage will be face tanking several Gigas on pull. So high spell interruption down and fast cast are extremely helpful in surviving the beginning of this fight. For the kill order, the boss is the #1 priority for our group, followed by the fist fighters, and then everything else. If you're running into mechanics that are stopping you, you can adjust the kill order accordingly after the boss, but for the most part, these targets tend to die quickly enough. In general, again, we focus the boss, then the fist fighters, and then whatever we happen to target next. There are some mechanics to look out for. For example, the trainer can charm if he's not killed quickly enough, which can be detrimental to the run. We did wipe that several times, usually after exclaiming how easy the fight is. So many groups do save the trainer for last when there is less going on to worry about, and you can counter that with a quick sleep or just take him out before the charm affects you in any way. But the bottom line here is that the Enceladus does have to die first, not because he has an aura or anything like that, but because he adds a lot of mechanics to the fight, like a Mercurial Strike one-shot or a encumbrance that will slow you down significantly. Again, the damage output, especially from the boss and the fist fighters, is very high at the start of the fight. I want to reiterate to put up whatever defensive buffs you can. Putting up Phalanx 2 on your party if you're using a red mage, a Gallant's roll can be extremely helpful, Geo Barrier, etc. Whatever defensives you have access to as quickly as possible. However, you don't want to sacrifice too much damage. The name of the game here is balancing kill speed and defensives. Again, the Enceladus will one-shot you, so there is no combination of defensive buffs that will prevent you from dying to cap damage. You just have to take him out before you give him the opportunity to do that. For alternate compositions, if you're struggling with the incoming damage and no combination of defensives is really helping you out, many people are using a Rune Fencer as a primary tank for some additional survivability. Again, as we looked at before, there are a number of roles like the Red Mage or the Dark Knight that are swappable for other jobs. So adding in a Rune Fencer in one of those spots can definitely help you sustain through the fight a little bit better. Securing hate on all 6 Gigas can be a little tough in Ambuscade, so be sure to tag and position before engaging all out. If you're zerging fast enough, your rune may also struggle to hold primary target hate, but as long as you're keeping the fist fighters and other enemies off of your white mage or your healer, you should be okay. And then additionally, apparently these Gigas take ridiculously increased water damage. So scholars are reporting extremely high damage free nukes without much added support. There are a few viable magic burst strats for a more controlled fight with skill chains and water magic bursts from 1 or 2 scholars or a black mage. So if you want to try a magic based comp, it's a great month to test that as well. I'm sure there are a variety of other ways to tackle this fight, but for me, anytime I can do a melee zerg, I'm generally most comfortable with that. We don't have to swap around jobs and adjust our composition from other activities we're doing during the day. We can just hop into a quick ambuscade, knock it out, and move on to the next thing. And then lastly, for the key item, we're using the home point to Zarkabard S, the Shadow Rain version of Zarkabard. This is a particularly fast key item to pick up, as you can simply home point directly to where the mobs are, kill immediately around the home point, and then home point back to Mahora to do another round. We were commonly running into nitro timer resets because we were moving so quickly and picking up the key item and getting back into and clearing the fight. So while it's not entirely necessary, it may be helpful to work into your path the Bard stopping by the Moogle in Mahora to do a quick job swap to reset those nitro timers before you re-enter. An alternate key item spot is the Upper Delkfa Tower home point. If you have a lot of congestion in Zarkabard S on a more populated server, or it's just a popular time to be doing Ambuscade at the time, check out Upper Delkfa. It's a second spot where you might be able to pick up the key item quickly, and this is also a home point. So super quick, don't have to even run to a survival guide or anything like that. 2 great spots for the Gigas key item. I hope you found this video helpful and it motivates you to cap out your hallmarks and gallantry this month. We do have an Ambuscade campaign coming up, which gives a daily bonus to Ambuscade's rewards, doubling the hallmarks and gallantry you receive for each difficulty completed. So this is a great month to pace out your Ambuscade clears. You can do both very difficult and difficult daily and get a huge number of hallmarks for your effort. If you enjoyed this Final Fantasy XI content, consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. It goes a long way to supporting our growth. I also stream Final Fantasy XI over at twitch.tv/Hegmo along with other games and fun activities. Stop by anytime to join us in action real time. See you next time.
victoria!